As you may have noticed on the channel, I am switching things up. The DBT section will now be its own separate video. So we're just going to jump right into the other 3 decks today. Starting with DBT Skill Building, Emotion Regulation. Start with Build Mastery. A helpful exercise is to start your day by building mastery. To build mastery means to do any activity that helps you feel more competent or in control. Do a load of laundry, return calls or emails, take a brisk walk, clean the cat box, or organize your desk. Note the feeling of accomplishment and give yourself credit. By starting your day with build mastery, you feel more in control and set the tone for the day. This is one reason having a routine is such a good idea for people with mental disorders. It is easy to get anxious about something we don't want to do, that we're not accustomed to doing. So if it's something you have to do a lot and you tend to have a negative effect to it or to the thought of it, put it in your routine, practice it every day, and it'll get easier. For people with depression, it's exhausting. Yes, I get it. I completely understand. You just want to lay in bed because your brain has worked so hard over time with the lies about how horrible you are that you're literally physically exhausted. It's difficult to move. I get it. But get up. If you have to get up to go to the bathroom, stay up. When you come back, make your bed. Because when you're depressed, you're in the mindset that I can't do anything right. When you make your bed, it seems like a very small thing to neurotypical people, but it really isn't. When you make your bed and you look at it and it's actually nice and neat and organized and clean, you're like, okay, maybe I can do one thing right. List you just a little bit. Go find something else to do. Something minor, something simple, like sweep the floor, take out the trash. And the more little things you do, the better you'll start to feel about yourself. And that also falls under move. You're actually getting your body active, which releases the chemicals in your brain that can help boost your mood. So that's all a huge part of build mastery. And that's why routines are important. It gives you the start of the day with a mood boost. It reminds you that you're not incapable, you're not incompetent, you're not stupid, you're not a failure, you don't do everything wrong. It just gets to the bottom of all those lies that depression tells us and that anxiety can tell us. So, yeah, start your day with build mastery. Okay, our next deck is our CBT deck, and we're going back to think. Yeah. Once again, we're going back to calling me out. I have a very, very real problem where no matter how hard I try to assume the best, my brain wants to argue and play the what if game. And my brain can what if the best case scenario all the way down to death. And it is so aggravating. So this is something that I have to practice like literally every minute of every day, unfortunately. And some days I fail. Even now, with all the therapy I've been through, all the coping skills I've learned and everything, there's days that I still just, I fail. But That's normal, I think, for everybody. I think the more important a situation is to somebody, the more difficult it is to assume the best. That's just what I've noticed, but with myself and some of my neurotypical friends, we all have days where we just feel negative. But anyway, assume the best. Most likely, someone will do something today that annoys you. When that happens, aim to make the kindest possible interpretation of the person's actions. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you might tell yourself that they're in a hurry to see a dying loved one in the hospital. See how this reaction affects your peace of mind. You know, that can work for almost anything. But some people really are just that cruel and heartless. Like the people telling the people in Texas right now to quit crying and die. I'm not going to make excuses for them. I am not going to excuse their behavior. I'm not going to tolerate their behavior. But I'm not going to be interacting with them anymore either. They're getting blocked and I'm moving on. To the point where I probably won't be on social media for a few days. Because the number of self-entitled jerks who think it's okay to bully people, to tell people to die, right now is way too high. And as somebody with a mental illness, that is the one thing I will never excuse. You never tell somebody to die. Unless you want it thrown right back in your face. But anyway. So for the most part, especially with people you don't know, actions could always have an underlying cause. Try to give them the benefit of the doubt and see if that makes you less angry. The deck that I swear to God is trying to kill me. I have not looked at this yet. I don't want to look at this. We're going to see. Open from the ACT. Give forgiveness. Bring to mind someone you care about. Imagine them making a mistake or perceived misstep. How might you show them you understand they're imperfect without criticizing or attempting to get even? What would that mean to them? I think a lot of us, I'm just going to narrow it all the way down to BPD. There may be more issues, but I know me personally, my therapist had told me that this is my BPD with my black and white thinking. If they have hurt me, they either didn't know or didn't care. When it's somebody who knows you very well, like a family member or a loved one, like a spouse or a boyfriend that you've been with for a long time, it's really hard to believe that they didn't know that that was a boundary or that was a trigger or whatever. And we automatically jump to the, well, if you knew, then you didn't care. And we wonder, why should I forgive them? It doesn't matter to them if I forgive them, because if they wanted me to forgive them, and they knew it was a problem, they wouldn't have done it anyway. We've got to get over that black or white thinking. Because sometimes what they do or say is a knee-jerk reaction to something. They know, but in the heat of the moment, their brain-to-mouth filter quit working. So they know, and they do care, but it slipped by accident. That's just one example. And like I said, I do have BPD, I do have the black and white thinking, so it's very difficult for me to think of more excuses. If y'all can think of any that might help me break this particular pattern of inability to forgive, please leave it in the comments, because it's not healthy. Hold on just a second. I actually had texted somebody that was having problems forgiving somebody in his life. And I just thought this would be a good time to share it since we're talking about forgiveness. The secret to forgiving isn't straight away forgiving. It's a process. First, you have to accept that it's their problem and not your fault. Second, you have to allow yourself to grieve the damage. Third, you have to accept that it won't change and stop expecting it to or hoping it will. And take precautions to protect yourself from new damage, even if it comes to the point of cutting off contact. Finally, once everything's been dealt with, you'll be able to forgive. Because forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay, or even that it doesn't hurt you or bother you anymore. Forgiveness just means you've moved past it and quit giving it room in your head and heart. Now, that being said, I'm going to expound on that a little bit more. Forgiveness is rarely, if ever, a one-shot deal. You don't forget and then it's gone. A lot of times when that hurt is so deeply ingrained that we find it hard to forgive the first time, it's going to keep coming back, because that's a trauma. Whether it's a big T trauma or a little t trauma, it's trauma. It's caused hurt that has seeped into our lives and has stamped itself in our memory. And it's going to keep coming back. You're going to see somebody that reminds you of it, or a certain word or a smell or a sound will make you think of this hurt. And I promise you, you're going to get angry or hurt all over again, even though it's been a day or a week or a month. In some cases, even years later, something brings this memory back up with the pain and the anger and everything again. Forgiveness is not a one-time deal. It is not something that you can do without thinking. It is a constant action that you have to take and that you have to believe for yourself before it can start to heal. Now, the more often you forgive that person or that event or that situation, the easier it will get, until it comes to the point where that memory is still coming up, but it no longer holds power over you. You can think about it like a scene in a movie. You can see it, you can hear it, but it doesn't bother you anymore. And that's what we're aiming for, right? Is to get past the trauma so we can heal and not have all these negative reactions to things anymore, because we want to live our life. We want to enjoy it. We want to be happy. How can we be happy? By getting rid of the negative emotions. Now, that's not to say we're not going to cry ever, or that's what we want. No, we want to be able to feel our emotions, but we want to be able to process them, feel them, and get past them and get back to staying mindful, staying in the present, and just enjoying our lives for what it is. Pain, hurt, anger, everything included. So that's it for today. And eat breakfast, drink some water, get a shower, brush your teeth. Take care of yourself today. Love yourself. Give yourself a safe place to do your work if you need to. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Love you.